Good morning. Let me tell you a happy story. One of my students got beaten up. Well, my name is Paul Chandy. I am the pilgrim in progress, paving the path to Christ. We'll go back to our story in a minute. Give praise in every circumstance. Give thanks in every circumstance, for that is God's will for you. I'm paraphrasing 1 Thessalonians 5:16 to 18. It is God's will for us to be joyful and full of praise. Yesterday I said, have praise in your hearts. Be thankful for everything. But this is a step further. Actually, God asks us to be obedient to Him. And to do this, it reminded me of when I taught my most joyous classes. The classes that worked the best, that had a lot of progress, and there was a lot of fun, and a great energy in the room, and there was an interaction. And that was when I taught asylum seekers and refugees. You heard some terrible stories, although you wouldn't have thought so from the atmosphere in the classroom, where there was a lot of fun and laughter and good productive learning taking place. You heard stories of people fleeing mainly war and conflict, how their homes had been destroyed, how family members had been killed, how they had suffered on their journey, how they had been displaced, ended up in England, living in very bad accommodation in Peckham, and then all of a sudden, at a moment's notice, they could be displaced to Manchester or even to Scotland. And there was that uncertainty and worry there. So this particular student came into class. He had been a pharmacist in Peru. And, I saw him with his black eye, and he said, oh, well, I was beaten up and mugged. Now, he's already in a poor, desperate situation. But he just shrugged it off, got in the class, was his usual humorous self. Also reminds me of a story of Linda. She was a great learner. Everyone loved teaching her, not only because of her enthusiasm. She was from Indonesia, because she was always laughing. Now, to tell you the truth, her husband was quite grumpy. He was an avid learner. He was respectful. In truth, he was in depression. He was a millionaire in his home country, but due to persecution had lost everything. And sometimes Linda would take the brunt of her husband's depression. But I always saw her happy, enthusiastic. When we all went on a trip to London, she was very curious. She loved seeing the sights. You would never have imagined that she had suffered a terrible plight, a riches to rags story. She was now living in poverty in Peckham, in probably a horrible flat. And worst of all, that she was separated from her children. Her children were staying with an auntie. Now that grieved her, that made her sad. Of course you can't wipe out all sadness. It's the way you choose to handle the situation. All these immigrants could have lost hope, could have been depressed, could have not turned up for classes every day, and wallowed in their flats about the bad situation that they're in. And they could have reminisced about the good old days. But they were striving forward, moving forward, having that faith to go on. And without, in a sense, any promise, all they knew was, let's be happy now. Let's be joyful now. Let's give thanks in all circumstances. And as a Christian, and a lot of us go through pain, and it's okay to feel occasionally sad, but not to dwell in it. Remember this line, give thanks in all circumstances. And it's a command, for this is God's will for you. Whatever you're going through during this COVID crisis, And I cannot pretend to understand what you're going through, and I'm not belittling your suffering. However, take action. Now, I have my challenges as well, and for example, I wish I could be working right now as a teacher. I'm a supply teacher. I wish I could be in schools and earning money and helping children and just be out with the teacher crowd, because there's such a good laugh. Being a teacher is one of the most amazing jobs, and I feel a little paralysed because my vocation isn't there. And for example, yes, I'm in a comfortable situation, but there has been an impact on income, like many other people. And this is one of the reasons why I've set myself to do a video challenge. I want to reaffirm my faith, shout out my faith, testify about my faith, so that it goes stronger and stronger, and so that God will make me a rock, a buttress against all these troubles, and in doing so, support and help others. Thank you very much. This is Paul Chandy, the Pilgrim in Progress. Have a wonderful day.